Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Fumbles, Fables. I'm Fumbles and this is my best friend, Funky Monkey.
Hey.
And today we're going to be talking about a very special artifact in Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder. It's the Deck of Many Things.
Ooh.
Funky, do you know what a Deck of Many Things is?
I have heard stories of what decks of many things are.
Why don't you tell me what you've heard?
From my layman's understanding, a deck of many things is a deck of 21, 22 cards arranged in different ways that have half very beneficial things, half very unbeneficial things.
That's pretty much correct. The exact number of cards varies from deck to deck.
Right.
There are ones based off of a Hero deck, which has a full 52 card suite.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a very weird magic item that you should be very careful about putting in your game.
Shouldn't you be careful of almost any magic item like that?
Usually yes, but this one in particular, because this one is not up to Dungeon Master control. It is completely up to the whims of fate. I mean, sure, you could literally stack the deck by stacking the deck, but then that kind of defeats the point.
Right, it's meant to be random. Also, Dungeon Kitty.
Yes, littlest dungeon cat will be joining us today.
Yeah.
She's playful today, don't mind her. So, I'm going to be telling about the 2 times that I had in-game interaction with a deck of many things. And one of those, I'm not going to be going into a whole lot of detail because it's about the Corvosa campaign, which I'm going to be doing in a full 6-part thing.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. But the other one is the only time that I've ever been an objectively hostile dungeon master.
Don't let that fool you. In a different game, he killed 4 of my parents, and that'll be a story.
He is 1 for 5 on parents. So, whatever. But anyway, the Deck of Many Things is a very, very powerful magical item. And I'm going to first go into the one I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about, so we can get that out of the way.
Uh-huh.
In Corvosa, at the end of the campaign, my players managed to complete a very campaign-long side quest. They had to keep someone that they met in the first book alive with them and protect them from some very special circumstances.
Was this a tall order with this module?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Because it's the sort of thing that for the first 2 books, you're not going to be getting rid of them, but once you leave the city, some players decide to just abandon the person.
As most players are typically very selfish.
Yeah, and in other times it's just they don't think they need to take it with them. Because this is spoilers for Curse of the Crimson Throne. I'll put an annotation past this. This is a spirit of a Varisian gypsy fortune teller who's living in her Hero deck. And throughout the adventure, she gives them very special Hero readings, which are basically the Pathfinder filed off the serial number of a tarot reading.
Okay.
And it gives them very special mechanical benefits. But along the way, there's a couple different points where she can be in danger. Either because the PCs lose the deck, or something happens to it, or in one very specific encounter, they have to go out of their way to protect her, because some spirit-stealing entity tries to take her.
Oh, snap.
And at the end of the campaign, they also have to complete a secondary objective by freeing another spirit. And the 2 of them come together and put their power into her tarot deck, her Hero deck, and make it a Hero deck of many things.
Her probably representing the good parts of it and it representing the negative parts of it.
Mostly yes, but they are both beneficial. Paizo does a very good thing here by giving you a safety net. They let you redraw. In a base deck of many things, you have to pick 1, 2, or 3 cards. You will draw that many cards. Even if you fly halfway across the world, the cards will draw themselves and apply themselves to you.
You can't escape it.
You can't. Once you've made your choice, you've made your choice. But in a base deck, that's it.
I don't know if I would do that, man. If you put a deck of many things in front of me, I don't know if I would draw the card. I think I'd walk.
Yeah, I personally would draw 1 card.
I don't know, because my luck is shit, especially in any type of game. I'd be I'd draw the death card.
Yeah.
Oh, you just die.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
That's the thing, actually.
Damn it.
Yeah. The thing about the Deck of Many Things is that the more cards you draw, the more likely you're going to hit one of the bad things. So it's kind of a greediness meter.
It's an odds type of thing.
Yeah.
You're bound to run into
high risk, high reward. if you get real lucky and you draw 3 great cards, you are set for life. That is end of campaign level stuff.
Oh man, I can imagine if you had like a gambling problem and you had the deck of many things put in front of you. Are you only allowed to draw the 3?
You're only allowed to draw the 3 in a core deck, but like what happened in Corvosa, if you have other people around you or you draw certain cards, you can end up having many more than 3 card effects apply to you.
But it's always restricted to the 3.
You only get
person.
to draw the 3 per person.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I was saying, the Paizo deck gives you a redraw because the spirit likes you. She's not just going to let you get screwed.
Unless you get screwed again.
Unless you get screwed again, because she can only help you so far. But you get to, like, redraw one of the cards if you don't like it.
Is she in control of the deck, or is the deck in control of her?
It's kind of a fusion thing. She has enough influence to, like, put one of the cards back and let you draw another one, but she has no control over what you're drawing. Because it's a deck of cards.
Right, okay.
Yeah, anyway. Well, my Corvosa campaign managed to get this deck. And it's right near the end of the module, right near the end of the entire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So, at this point, they could get around most of the really, really bad stuff. Because most of the really, really bad stuff, not only do they tone it down in the Pathfinder Hero deck, but you get that redraw.
I find Pathfinder, from my very layman's knowledge, to be a lot more forgiving than the old D&Ds.
It is so much more forgiving, because I can think of at least 3 or 4 character ending cards and 1 campaign ending card in the original tarot deck. The original, it's just a deck of many things. It's based on a playing card deck.
But I find that Pathfinder is
a lot more forgiving. There's only one really, you're done, no save, go directly to jail type card.
I wonder if that's a reflection on the growing, like, what's the word for it? I don't want to say sissifying, training gloves? Kitty gloves?
It's because more campaigns are assumed to end well.
Right.
Because you're trying to go for a story, not necessarily just run yourself into a wall.
Pathfinder being more geared towards story, and D&D being, at least from, again, layman's knowledge of it, and the older versions, more module-based, dungeon-based.
It's more of an individual game, and it could end at any time.
Right.
Whereas with Pathfinder, you're generally telling a campaign story.
Okay, but continue, I'm sorry.
But, well, my group from Corvosa managed to get this Hero deck of many things. And as I mentioned in the McCavity story, he ended up having like 7 cards applied to him. It was crazy. I don't have... I'll go more into the exact details in Corvosa, but for what I remember, the sorcerer character ended up becoming completely immune to all fire, but becoming incredibly weak to ice.
Okay.
He drew a card called the Brass Dwarf, which gives you 1 elemental immunity, but you get the opposite element as a weakness.
Okay. So you basically become like an elemental.
You become like an elemental, basically.
Okay.
You're still you, but now you're just like, I can go swim in lava.
You have the properties of the elemental.
You become the Human Torch.
Yeah, alright.
So, the dwarf, Hawker, he didn't really draw anything spectacular because he only limited himself to like 1 or 2 cards.
A smart move.
I think he ended up gaining a level, and he ended the campaign a level higher than everyone else. Okay. And he got a card that, like, you swap 2 of your attributes. And I think he, like... Because for the longest time, he had kind of a weak strength. So he kind of swapped that for his constitution. So instead of being kind of weak but hardy, he became strong and a little frail.
Okay.
But it didn't affect him all that much. He just became a different sort of dwarf.
But he didn't get anything bad.
Nothing bad. He got out of it clean. Yeah. The rogue actually ended up having one of his magical items turn into an intelligent item. It gained sentience, and it became an artifact.
Okay.
And as a little bit of a hint, this is the final link in the chain of a perfectly logical black leather half-elf rogue dual-wielding artifact katanas and being Batman. And every single part of it makes perfect sense.
Look forward to that.
It's so weird. Besides that, he also had to give up another one of his items. Because he managed to draw, you gain an artifact, but then he drew another one. It's like, you lose your most valuable possession. But since the artifact was now alive, I didn't really consider that a possession. That's more of a creature.
It's more of a companion at that
Yeah.
point.
So he lost one of his other things, but it wasn't a big deal.
Not the dual katanas.
No.
Or the trench coat.
Now, besides McCavity, one person came out of it weird and amazing. And that was the Shoanti Ninja.
Okay. Backpedaling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What is a Shoanti?
A Shoanti is a Pathfinder species. Well, not a species. It's a human subtype.
Okay.
It's a culture based on mashing together the archetypal D&D barbarian and Native Americans. With a little bit of the Mongol horde mixed in, not a whole lot, just some of their, like, they wear a lot of furs and skulls.
So basically like your bandit type of subhuman race.
Not really even bandits.
Oh.
It's, take orcs from Warcraft, but make them humans.
Right. That's barbaric.
Yes, barbaric. They're basically Native American barbarians. They're very shamanistic. They're divided into clans. Okay. And she was playing one of the Moon Clan, and it was a ninja, which is not incredibly archetypal for a Shoanti, but it's not unheard of because moon, night, sneakiness, scouting. She became a shadow dancer, which is a really cool subclass, and also was kind of overpowered, but not in the way that it broke the game. It was just like, how much sneak attack damage are you doing?
Damn, girl.
It was that, how I mentioned how rogues like to get behind people and just take two weapons and stab, 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 stab?
As rogues should do. Ninjas
take that to the nth degree. That is all they do. And Shadow Dancer ninjas will dance behind you using a shadow and...
Okay.
That's all she did every fight.
Raging demon behind you and start shadowing.
Yes, just to stab. Just stab. That's all they did. But
okay.
She came out of it weird.
Weird.
Yeah. First of all, the first card she drew, she became Queen of the Shoanti. And by queen, I mean, because one of the cards you can draw actually makes you a rightful monarch. If there's no place nearby that would, suddenly bow to you, you gain a castle, a kingdom, and your own people. Don't ask how, it's weird. But in this case...
It just happens.
In this case, the card made all the Shoanti, because she'd already done quite a bit to earn a lot of trust with them, but they decided, because the party had been working to unify the Shoanti, they decided, yeah, we're going to unify, and she's our queen.
Okay. Instant raise.
Instant raise. Second one gave her a whole lot of attribute points. So she became really good. Really strong.
Okay.
Third one, she turned into a werebear.
Okay.
So, and when I mean turned into, I mean she's not always in bear form, but she's now suddenly a lycanthrope of the werebear type.
So every time the full moon comes out, she has a craving for picnic baskets?
Basically. But the nice thing about werebears is they're more good aligned than anything.
Right. Okay.
So it actually fit. So now she's this, incredibly sneaky ninja bear.
So instead of, say, a werewolf, she has control over herself whenever...
Yeah,
whenever the Kodiak comes out.
Yes, it count you as a naturalized lycanthrope, which means you have complete control over the transformation.
Okay.
Instead of being an afflicted lycanthrope, which is when the moon comes out, you lose it. You just go nuts.
Okay.
So now, in my Galarion world, all the Shoanti are a unified clan led by a secretive werebear ninja queen that the history books aren't even sure exists. She's that sneaky.
Don't start forest fires, kids.
Oh, no.
Smokey's a shadow dancer.
Yeah. And then McCavity... Yeah. I've already gone into McCavity, but to summarize, McCavity locked herself into permanent female form by becoming a demigoddess. And
I guess that's one way to do it, if you want to do that.
They also had one of their... I got this a little bit wrong in the McCavity episode. They had one of their followers, a pseudo-dragon, who they befriended in one of the earlier adventures.
Okay, what's a pseudo-dragon?
Okay. It's what a house cat is to a lion.
It's a drake.
It's a little teeny... It's Draggy the Dragon.
Is it a wyvern?
No. It's this big. It's house cat sized. It's what this little D&D kitty is to like a tiger, in that like they're related to each other, but not really.
Okay.
But they had the pseudo dragon draw a card, and it was the gender change card, and this was right after McCavity had finished drawing cards, so that's twice now the deck could have undone it.
I'm assuming that the little dragon really didn't change all that much.
No.
Okay.
Not a whole lot. Enough to be very perturbed by the whole thing, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that party, nothing really bad happened to him. I think one of them drew the permanent level drain card, or the... Oh no, I know it was. The cleric had drawn the you can no longer take levels in your current class card.
So you'd have to multi-class.
You'd have to multi-class, and that's a really bad card. Especially for like a divine person, because then it's like, oh, well, there goes your connection to your god. But he redrew it. So it was fine. Okay, and we're back. We just had a little bit of a technical issue. Don't worry about it. Stutta! Well, the other time that I've interacted with a deck of many things was in original 3.5. And this is the more lethal deck. And this was with a group that I only really gamed with for a very short time. You've never met any of them because it was a local game store group, and they're terrible people. Basically, after my brother moved away, I was a dungeon master in need of a group. And in order to find a group, I had to go to my local friendly neighborhood game store.
The Nerd Hangout.
It was called the Danger Room. And it's where you'd go to for all your Magic the Gathering tournaments and all your Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments.
To be fair, if there was like a place called the Danger Room, I'd probably try to work there.
Yeah. It was actually a really cool store. It was just your typical friendly neighborhood game store.
I never had one of those around me, but I had like a secondhand bookstore a lot. I used to go there a lot.
Yeah. It's basically just a nerd hangout. They sell all the games and the books and the cards and all the stuff, and they host tournaments and things happen. It's just a nerd hangout. It was the place to go for D&D campaigns before the internet.
Well, yeah, because it'd have a gathering of like-minded people.
And if the people there weren't looking, they'd know where you could look.
Yeah,
they'd hook you up.
Is this a place with like boards and stuff? Like, hey, we're looking for a group. Meet up here.
Maybe.
I swear we're not sketchy.
I don't think they had one of those there, but it was basically just like a social environment where people knew each other, and you just ask, hey, I'm looking for a game. Like, anybody want to play? And you'd gather some people up, you'd set up a game.
Backhanded dealings. Hey, man, I'm looking for a game. You got a game?
Go to game. Well, I had come there looking to Dungeon Master, and I'd found a group who were suddenly missing a DM.
Troubling news.
Kind of, yeah. That's usually you don't have the DM be the one who leaves the group.
Oh dear.
Well, they were what's pretty much known as power gamers, where they don't care about story, they don't care about character, they just want better numbers on their sheet.
So MMO elitist before the MMO.
Yes.
Okay.
And they will lie, cheat, and steal to get those better numbers. Including swearing up and down, oh man, Frank rolled 3 18s, I swear, I saw it. 3d6 in order, he rolled 3 18s, I swear.
That's why you have to have it roll in front of your DM.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why that is. But they're the sort of person who would do that, where they'd like all swear up and down, no man, our old DM, like, he saw us do this, it's fine, man, it's good, we're good.
I swear to God, Rhea has like 18s in all stats, bro. I'm
Honestly,
telling you, man.
It's statistically gonna happen to someone somewhere, and it happened to me.
Could you imagine if I rolled like 3 18s in a row?
Yeah.
I'd be like fucking on top of the world at that point, rubbing it into everyone's face.
Yeah.
Like, I am now your god.
If you're in original D&D, you'd actually be able to be a bard.
God damn it.
You don't mess with the minstrels, man.
I don't know, man.
Fuck you up, man.
Fucking Slash over here. You don't want to fuck with Slash. Slash will kill you.
Nope. Yeah. But anyway, so these guys would overtly cheat. They would try to fast talk people because they were the sort where anytime they could dig through the book and find a rule that helped them, they'd bring it right up immediately.
Right.
But whenever it mildly inconvenienced them, like, hey, you're not allowed to wear 2 bucklers and get the benefit from both, right? They don't...
Who says?
No. The book.
Damn. So that'd be like, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There were actually items there were actually like equipment items in 3.5 that were basically a pair of bucklers, and they were called armored van braces, and they stacked with a shield bonus, and min-maxers loved them.
I wouldn't do it for min-maxing. I do it because that's fucking sick as shit. I'm basically Shield Knight now.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it.
Yeah, but it was that sort of, we're gonna dig through every book we can to find the most broken, overpowered combinations ever. If you've seen anything online about stereotypical power gamers, it was these guys.
Is that different than min-maxers, or is it kind of the same?
Well, in most cases, a min-maxer won't break the rules. They'll abuse the hell out of the rules, but they won't break them, because it's easy to break the rules. You just lie. These are what we call munchkins. Kind of what the game is based off of. Just straight up lying, cheating, and stealing.
Okay.
They will say they have things that they did not get. They will stack bonuses that do not stack.
Now, how do they do this if you're not in front of them? Like,
well, they'll just kind of smooth it over. They'll just, they'll show me their character sheet, but they'll leave out certain things. Like, they'll show me what their armor class is, but they won't show me the exact breakdown of it.
right.
Like, they won't, put it on their sheet that I'm getting this from this, and this from this, and this. They're saying it all adds up to 35, I swear.
35?
Yeah. But it's just things like that. Or they'll find a technical loophole in the rules that, strictly rules as written, isn't legal, but they'll talk the DM into going along with it, because they're like, nah, man, this is legal, I've seen it.
And
Frank, help me out here, man.
And just to come back to some of this, how old were you?
I was 14.
So you're probably very easily persuaded.
I was very easily persuaded. I was pliable.
Oh, you say you have, the van braces of destiny up here? Okay, sure.
I caught the obvious shit, why do you have a Vorpal sword at level 6?
Where the Snicker Snack it goes.
And I actually made them roll new characters, because I wasn't going to just play new characters. I wasn't going to just make them, I wasn't going to play old characters. I actually had them roll new characters, but I didn't catch nearly half of the shit that I would catch today.
Okay.
Well, and they ran roughshod over me. I'd run typical D&D adventures. You meet at a tavern. There's a bounty poster for a group of gnolls nearby. Typical shit like that. You know, go here, do this quest, come back, get money. And they would abuse it every time. They would kill quest givers and just take the money off their body because they'd ask to meet them, away from the rest of the tavern. And then they'd just, leave.
Did morality play any part in this game?
Oh, they were horrible people.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they were terrible people. They would do things like they would go to a dungeon, and while this technically usually works, it's kind of dirty pool to do. They'd barricade the door and make sure there's no side exits and just starve all the monsters out and ask to get the XP. Because they killed all the monsters. They would pull really broken things.
I mean, I can't say that you're more evil for doing that instead of just going in and putting your blade in your throat.
Because that's quicker.
I suppose, man.
You're not literally starving them to death.
Yeah, but shit.
But
that's dirt.
It is dirt. It's incredible dirt. Don't do that. That's you're playing a game for a reason. You're not, if you just want to get better numbers, play Diablo or Borderlands or something.
I mean, I could see that though. If you were going up a coven of vampires, yeah, you should probably barricade their asses in there until they starve. At least weaken.
Yeah, it's an idea.
I don't know.
Hope they don't have any prisoners in there.
Well,
they won't when you're done.
The sick part about that is that food can only last for so long.
Yeah, but then you're not rescuing anybody.
No.
And now you got more vampires to deal with.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was dirt like that. It was dirty pool. They were playing incredibly dirty pool.
Jeez.
The worst case scenario was, then this is what got me to be a hostile DM. I'm normally very, very sweet. I'm willing to kill a character, but only if it makes perfect sense. What? What?
Nothing. Nothing, my
I see you over there. What?
It's okay. Just keep going.
Okay. Well, now, NPCs don't have the same protection.
Ah!
because they're designed to get emotional punch out of the players. And let's be fair here.
An emotional beatdown.
3 of those 4 parents were dead the moment the game started because the module declares them dead.
You didn't warn me.
Actually, 2 of them, yeah.
Well, that was backstory.
And the third, you actually retroactively decided. It wasn't like you.
Okay.
The third, you decided she had been your parent after she was dead. So
no, it was kind of before that, but then that happened.
Yeah, but anyway, 3 of them were already dead. I only technically killed 1 parent, and it was in a demon invasion. People are gonna die.
Okay,
continue. The book says people are gonna die.
Continue.
Anyway. So, normally I don't kill players. I don't attack players. I don't be hostile. I'll just pull someone aside, say, hey, you're hurting the game. Can we fix this somehow? Can we do something about this? But in this situation, what they did got me to come up with a very ingenious counter strategy.
Okay.
And when I say ingenious counter strategy, I mean ingenious for 14. There were ways around this, but I wasn't going to just instantly rockfall, you die, because that's the easy way out. Any DM can do that. Yeah, which, side note, you really should not antagonize your DM, because they literally at any point can just have your character have a heart attack.
Roll fortitude save to not have a heart attack, jackass.
Yeah. It's dirt, but that's why you shouldn't make your DM mad. You're supposed to have fun.
At the tavern, you take a drink of your mead. Oh no, it's been poisoned.
Yeah.
Roll a fort save.
You never want to antagonize your DM because you will always lose. They can cheat the rules. Anyway.
I'll antagonize you all I want.
Okay.
Please don't kill me.
Yeah. So, back to what they did. I had described, and I had come up with a really cool dungeon. A really cool dungeon. I had spent weeks in class. Yeah, in class, I was that guy. Sketching out this dungeon. It was like an Undermountain style, underneath of a hill, there's this massive dungeon, and it was really cool. It had twists and turns, and there were really cool fights, and I was really excited to run this dungeon.
Right.
Because it was super fun, and a dungeon master wants you to go through the things they make. It's not like we're trying to force you to do a specific thing, but we've planned it out. We want it to get used. Well,
oh boy.
Okay, they had recently discovered a source book, an officially published, because back in the day, anybody could make official D20 books under the OGL license.
Right.
Anybody could make official books. Well, unofficial, but if you did certain things, it would be considered an official book.
Right, okay.
And they found one about guns and gunpowder. And while I said no to guns, they sneakily managed to get their way into gunpowder by saying, oh no man, the Chinese had invented gunpowder for fireworks hundreds of years before actual guns.
Well, yeah. But
They did, but this was that kind of we're going to convince you to give us what we want. They weren't actually making any argument about realism. They were just wanting gunpowder.
Right.
And I said, okay. You can have it if you can make it. And they did another kind of dirty tactic where they used out-of-character knowledge of, it's just saltpeter and, ammonia. And, they know how to make gunpowder in real life. So they just said, oh yeah, it's just this. I have my character go do this. And instead of asking, well, how does your character know how to make gunpowder? I was, okay, give me a craft alchemy check, I guess. And they ended up mass-producing gunpowder.
Okay.
Barrels upon barrels upon barrels of the stuff.
How do they transport this?
They had a shrink item that they just cast and carried around, but they didn't need to transport it for very long, you see. Because what they did, they got a big giant tarp. They used shrink item which they got from a magic item they probably shouldn't have had. But to shrink the big giant kegs of gunpowder down to little teeny, this size little barrels, little root beer barrels you get.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the thing about that is, once they're a certain distance away from you, strictly rules is written, it's out of your possession. It goes back to its normal size.
So they lob the motherfucker at somebody and it just boom.
I wish.
Oh.
That would be the easy thing they did. Well, what they did was they took alchemist's fire and a tarp. and they put a whole bunch of those little teeny barrels of gunpowder and alchemist fire in a tarp. They had a wizard fly up above the dungeon, and they dropped the tarp. And now that it was out of his possession, they grew huge. And they all fell. And the alchemist fire explodes on contact, and it sets off every single barrel of the gunpowder. And here's where it gets dirt. They handed me a pre-printed sheet about how large a radius, how much damage, and all of that a barrel of gunpowder explosion would do.
Right.
And they stacked it because the book had a scaling amount of the more you added at past a certain point. It just said each whatever of gunpowder adds another X feet and does another X d6 damage.
Okay.
The normal assumption is you're never going to be able to explode someone with 200 barrels of gunpowder at once.
However,
so they handed me this pre-printed sheet saying, okay,
God.
now everything in a 2-mile radius takes 300 d6 explosion damage, and that affects objects and scenery too. And the radius, which is a sphere, so it even penetrates, goes this far out, does this much damage. We've calculated the hardness and the hit points of a dirt hill, and it obliterates the hill.
Fuck the Tarrasque.
Yeah. Well,
oh God.
a couple things.
300 d6?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, it would not have destroyed the hill.
No.
Because objects take half damage from elemental attacks, and because hardness and hit points are based on thickness. And a hill is quite thick. Quite thick.
Yeah.
So it would leave a impressive crater, but it would not vaporize everything within 2 miles.
But as a 14-year-old...
Well, 2 miles is an exaggeration, but functionally it was the entire dungeon. But as a 14-year-old, they had handed me all these numbers, saying, here's the hardness of stone, it does this much damage, so even stone walls in a stone dungeon are just obliterated. It's like a nuclear bomb.
No, but...
It's not.
Go
What
ahead.
it is, it's a whole bunch of tiny, small explosions on a hill.
Yeah.
But-
I'm not bringing fucking physics into this.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. But they had run the numbers, even though they were dirt numbers. And being 14 years old, they had convinced me that, no, this is what happens. You can't say otherwise. This is the rules.
Rules is written, this is what it is.
Rules is written, this is how much damage it does. We've killed everything in the dungeon. We get all the money. We get all the XP. And I'm like...
Oh, God.
Like, what? You just killed all the prisoners. Oh, so we get more XP.
Okay.
I'm like, but you've destroyed all the equipment. Oh, that's fine. It's all buried under there anyway. The kobolds never have anything valuable anyway. And I'm just left stunned.
Why do you play the game? What's
and they
the
were
point?
so fucking smug about how they'd beaten they'd gotten around the entire dungeon by committing mass murder and using basically a nuclear bomb.
Oh, jeez.
So, I had spent weeks on that dungeon. And not only, like, it would have hurt less if they just opted not to do it.
But they insulted you.
They insulted me. Like,
Right.
and then they were taunting about it, about how they were telling people at the game store about how much XP they just got for not having to really spend all that much gold, because they'd found ways to, like, multiply, whatever. They had found ways to mass produce alchemical items.
Right.
And they're like, oh man, we just leveled up from, like, we didn't even have to fight. All we had to do was fly up and drop. It was so great, man. We totally got our dungeon master. And then they started doing the prep work to do it again. And I'm like, no. Nah, fuck that.
Shame me once.
Yeah, I ain't letting you do that again. So, what I did was I decided to give them a new quest. I had a kindly old cleric of whatever magic god was magic at the time come up to them and say that he needs help restoring a valuable cultural and magical artifact from a really dangerous place, and he's willing to hire adventurers to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They immediately, of course, were going to go take the thing and keep it. Naturally, because they were assholes. Well, I figured they would do that.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't kill the cleric immediately.
Well, they thought about it, but they realized...
They thought about it.
But I had him mention that he didn't have the reward on hand. So if they killed him then, they wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. It would have just been like a level 2 cleric worth of XP.
With heroes like this, who needs villains?
Yeah. Well, they took the quest, of course, and they were going to go betray the cleric once they got the thing.
Right.
And it took them to a place I now like to call the Cave of Many Things.
The Cave of Many Things.
Yes.
Okay. Tab card.
The Cave of Many Things. Now, it's a very nondescript cave, and it's a very big walk underneath of a mountain. So they can't pull their little aerial shit, because, like, that thickness of stone, I said, no, it's based on per foot, you won't do any damage.
You could drop a nuke on a mountain, it's not going to do much to the mountain.
All you're going to do is bury and lose the artifact.
Again, I'm bringing physics into your D&D
But I told them, like, no.
So.
If you set off an explosion that big, all you're going to do is lose the artifact because it'll cause a cave-in.
If that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of, like, rubbed it in their face because I used the same module. So, like, no, an explosion in an enclosed area causes a cave-in. So, no. You can do it, but you'll lose your treasure. And you won't get any XP because all you've done is, like, bury treasure.
Good job, shitheads.
Yeah. So they played along, and they came to a very simple room.
Mm-hmm.
It was a large cave. The ceiling and the floor were checkerboard patterns, made of like black and white stone.
I see where this is going, but
they were 10 by 10 squares of checkerboard patterns.
Okay.
And there was a chalice, like a glowing chalice, literally glowing. I had it glow to entice these guys. A glowing chalice on a pedestal underneath of a locked glass case, so they couldn't just mage hand it.
It was the Aladdin type of thing. They were all boo, and this was the lamp.
Yeah, and it was on the other side of the checkerboards.
Or no, it wasn't. He didn't get swayed by the lamp. He got swayed by that red gem.
Yep.
What the hell
Big
am I
giant
talking
ruby.
about? It's the ruby.
Yeah, and it was on the other side of the checkerboard pattern. Now, here's a couple ways that if you stop and think about it and you're not an asshole, you can get around this. Spider climb.
Yeah.
Fly.
Mm-hmm.
You could use ropes. You could just, not. But just not. But here's the thing. The wizard is detecting magic all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Ungodly amounts of magic. And he decides to identify. And I plainly lay out to him exactly what's going to happen. Because I'm not hiding this.
Mm-hmm.
And he rolls high enough to identify that every single tile in that room is tied to a card in the deck of many things.
Right.
And when you step on that tile, you get that effect. They were trampling each other to be the first one onto that checkerboard.
It played to their greed.
Because the deck of many things has some really good things.
Right. And they didn't pause for a moment to think about the bad things.
No. They were practically fighting each other to be the first one onto that checkerboard.
Oh, God.
And I even still played it fair. I didn't front load all the shit into the front row. I actually randomly drew and assigned. Ahead of time, so it wasn't like, step on a new tile, draw a card. Step on a new tile, draw a card. I knew exactly which tile was which card.
Okay.
So I was being fair about it. I didn't just drop shit on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I'm being hostile, I like to be a little bit fair.
Okay.
So they clamber onto the checkerboard. They are stepping left and right, and at first it works out great. One of them becomes a king. Another one gains a level. Another one of them gets an artifact. And then the bad shit starts happening.
Oh.
One of them steps and gets the death card. And the death card is not just a you die. It summons the Grim Reaper. And you have to fight the Grim Reaper in single combat.
Dante, no.
And here's the thing about that card. it has to be in single combat. Because if anyone else tries to help you, it immediately creates another duplicate that they have to fight in single combat. And here's the thing about fighting. Fighting involves a lot of movement.
Oh, fuck me.
Some of the things I still remember. One of them gained a Holy Avenger, only to lose it and all of his possessions on the next tile. One of them got banished to the center of the earth, where he's still technically alive, but he's imprisoned in the center of the earth forever.
Oh god, I'd rather die.
Mercifully, it says you're in stasis, but he's still alive down there.
Oh, fuck.
Another one of them just got straight, soul sucked by one of the lesser deaths. Because he tried to attack it, and then it summoned another one, and then he got the shit beat out of him.
I'm guessing death is a pretty hard order to fight.
It's really hard to fight, honestly. At lower levels, you might as well just accept your character is dead.
But
just take it for the team and tell your buddies not to help.
At level 20, you could theoretically take it.
Oh, yeah, at higher levels you can take it, but it's still kind of hard, because the mechanic is level drain. So it's a spiraling effect, where when it hits you, you get weaker. Which means it can hit you more. You get weaker. Downward spiral.
Okay. But, in theory...
At higher levels, you can take it.
I could see a wizard taking on death, time stop.
Yeah, a wizard or a cleric can definitely take on death. A barbarian with something that can affect ethereal creatures could probably take on death.
Okay, but
for purposes, they had no chance.
Okay.
But they thought they did. And they didn't just let him fight his own thing. They wanted to join in for the XP. Because they're thinking, well, hey, if we kill it, we get more XP.
If we kill death...
If we kill 3 of death, we get more XP.
Oh, gosh.
So, one of them was banished to the center of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was straight killed by one of the effects, because there is a you die. Just, you are dust.
Beautiful.
One of them was murder-lated by the lesser deaths. And one of them tried to run, but he didn't try to run for the exit.
He went for the...
He went for the
oh,
thing.
Oh, God. Why, bro?
He got hit with so much shit. I think it actually, caused the ire of a genie lord who joined the fight. Because that's one of the effects. You've gained the ire of a demon lord or a genie lord or some other, super powerful outsider who wants you dead. And he did not stand a chance against all those deaths and the genie. And at the end of it, they were... Not only were they dead, some of them were imprisoned, their belongings were wiped from the face of the earth. It was shit. It was a complete total party kill. They did not stand a chance. If they had just left, or had been a little more creative, or just been a little nicer, they could have gotten through.
But
the smart thing would have been, try to plot the shortest possible route through the checkerboard. Literally a straight line.
Yeah.
Just go straight. Do not deviate. Do not have everyone dogpiling on these things.
Take one motherfucker. Be like,
yeah.
Whatever happens.
Or just we're going to take turns. I'm going to step on this tile. You're going to step on this tile. You're going to step on this tile. That's fair. You know? And then you're all basically drawing one card from the deck of many things.
If you want to fucking deal with that, a wizard should have every opportunity to get around that.
Mm-hmm. But they got greedy.
Yep.
They got greedy and they got dead.
They got greedy and stupid.
By the time the wizard started flying, the deaths had already appeared.
The deaths, plural.
Because if you fight it solo, it's just one. Right. But if anyone else attacks it, it immediately creates one for them.
It's your own death.
Yeah, it's your own. You're fighting a thing, and you can't get outside help, or else it's going to call in outside help. And that's how that goes when you fuck around with artifacts like that and you make you DM mad. Because the Deck of Many Things, it's a campaign ender.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse. If you throw it out at the end of a campaign, some really good things can happen, or some really bad things can happen.
Right.
It's definitely one of the ones you don't want to just throw into your game. You got to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to throw that into another game, I'd do it the Pathfinder way. and I'd give him a redraw. Or I'd use a less lethal deck.
I'm never drawing a card in your game. It doesn't matter. Like, if we're at a tavern and some jackass is like, hey, you want to play poker? And he puts down a deck in front of me, I'm not drawing that card.
Well, see, the nice thing about that is that at least you know. You know. You can't just accidentally... Like, if you don't know you're drawing a card and you draw a card, it just, like, slides back into the deck. And you're like, oh, okay. It's... You commit with a deck of many things.
You can't just be like, someone just holds out the deck of many things, you're like, oh, hey, cards.
You can't like pick a card, any card, the deck of many things.
You're like, oh, you mentally command, this is the deck I am taking.
I am drawing 1 card, 2 cards, or 3 cards, and you are drawing those cards.
I'll never draw a card, even if you put that in front of me. I'm never doing it.
So there, and I never ran with those guys again. I quit that group.
I wouldn't think so.
And I'm just like, no, fuck it. And for the longest time, I didn't play D&D. From like 14 to like 17 or 18, I just didn't play. Because I didn't know anybody who played. I didn't want to go back to the game store and play. I still went back there for like card games and just to hang out and watch other people play, but I didn't run anything. And
the bad part is they probably just like fished their characters back and continued.
They probably did. But I proved my point of like, you fuck with me, I'm going to fuck with you back.
Right, go ahead.
But then I got introduced through a forum I was hanging out on to the fact that you could play games over the internet. On IRC and MapTool.
Right.
You could actually play games. And the very first game I got into on coming back to it was Janesville. And that's leading me to our next episode, our very special, very spoopy Janesville episode. And to those of you who don't know, I'm just going to say one thing, and this should provoke the proper reaction to Janesville. Wear skunks.